They say that some objects can hold energy, echoes of everything that's happened around them. But few stories in American folklore are as chilling or as meticulously documented as the tale of the Conjured Chest of Kentucky. A piece of furniture said to be cursed and linked to at least 17 deaths. And even today, it rests quietly in the archives of the Kentucky Historical Society, its drawers empty, but its deadly legend still very much alive. So let's do this. Our story begins in the early 1830s in Meade County, Kentucky. A wealthy planter named Jeremiah Graham commissioned a chest to be built, an elegant piece of furniture for his newborn son. The craftsman was Ramus, an enslaved man on Graham's property. Ramus was known for his extraordinary woodworking skill, and he built a beautiful empire-style mahogany chest of drawers, with 4 large drawers and crystal knobs, fashionable and finely made. But before the chest could even be used, a terrible injustice occurred. Jeremiah accused Ramus of theft. There's no record of what was supposedly stolen, and in a fit of rage he had Ramus brutally beaten. Ramus died from his injuries. In the wake of his death, the other enslaved people on the plantation allegedly performed a conjure ritual, a traditional act of hoodoo meant to avenge wrongdoing. According to legend, they used owl's blood, willow leaves, hair, and silver pins, sealing the curse inside the very chest Ramus had built. From that day forward, the Graham family would come to believe the chest carried a deadly curse. The first victim was said to be Jeremiah Graham's infant son, the very child for whom the chest had been made. Shortly after his clothes were placed inside, the baby was found dead in his cradle. At first, it was dismissed as tragedy, but over the next decades, death seemed to follow the chest wherever it went. Family tradition holds that at least 17 or 18 people died under strange or sudden circumstances, all connected in some way to this single piece of furniture. After Jeremiah's death, the chest passed to his brother Jonathan Graham and his wife Amanda Winchell Graham. Their son, records say a young man named Jonathan Jr., was killed on his 21st birthday, stabbed during a fight. At the time, his birthday clothes had been stored in the chest. The chest then passed through the extended family line to the Ryan family, the Gregorys, and later the Harlans, each generation reporting its own tragedies. By the early 1900s, the chest had reached Eliza Gregory, a descendant of the original Grahams. Eliza used the chest to store linens in her home. Soon after, she confided in friends that she felt a constant presence near it. Cold air, whispers, a sense of being watched. Within a few months, she was dead. Her death recorded as suicide. The next known death came when Emmett Gregory, another family member, fell 30 feet through a railroad trestle in December of 1909. His gloves and scarf had been taken from the chest that same week. The coincidences piled up, one by one. By the early 20th century, the chest came into the possession of Sally Graham Darnell, granddaughter of Jeremiah. Sally used it to store her children's baby clothes, and heartbreakingly, several of those children died in infancy. Her daughter, Virginia Carey Hudson Cleveland, also suffered tragedy. In August 1915, she lost her premature baby soon after the infant's clothing was removed from the chest. In her memoirs, Virginia later wrote, "We kept it because it was beautiful, but it seemed to bring sorrow wherever it stood." The pattern was undeniable. Each time the chest was opened and used, death followed. By the 1930s, family descendant Virginia Carey Hudson, an author and historian, decided to investigate. She compiled every family record, every death, and every testimony she could find. In 1976, she published the book, The Conjured Chest, detailing the story from Jeremiah Graham and Ramus to her own lifetime. In it, she wrote that her mother, Sally Darnell Carey, believed the curse was absolutely real, and that it passed to any person who inherited the chest or even stored items inside it. Virginia listed 17 victims by name, among them Jeremiah's infant son, Jonathan Graham Jr., Eliza Gregory, Emmett Gregory, Virginia Cleveland's infant, and even Sally, the woman who performed the final conjure ritual in an attempt to end the curse. That final ritual is one of the most famous parts of the story. By the 1940s, yet after another death, the family was desperate. She didn't turn to a priest or an exorcist, but to an unusual ally, Sally, an elderly black woman who worked as an herbalist in the nearby village. Sally listened to the story with an inscrutable expression, then nodded. "That's not superstition," she said finally. "It's ancient knowledge. And to break it, you'll need even older knowledge." The ritual she proposed was precise and disturbing. A dead owl, given without being asked, willow leaves boiled from dawn to dusk under the gaze of the bird, and a jug filled with the liquid obtained, buried under a flowering bush with the handle facing east. For weeks, Virginia waited in vain for the gift of the owl, until one day her younger son came home with a stuffed specimen given to him by a friend. It was a sign that fate was in motion. On the day of the summer solstice, Virginia and Sally staged a scene that seemed straight out of a Gothic tale. The large black cauldron boiling on the fire, the stuffed owl seeming to watch with glassy eyes, and the willow leaves releasing a bitter aroma into the sultry air. At sunset, they buried the jug under a flowering lilac bush. Sally warned her, "If the ritual works, one of us will die before autumn. She will be the last victim." On September 5th, Sally did not show up at the market. They found her in her bed, peaceful, with a slight smile on her lips. From that day on, no new tragedy struck the Hudson family, but when Virginia donated the chest to the museum, someone noticed that she had placed a seal envelope in the cursed drawer. And even today, custodians claim that on full moon nights, a sound like the rustling of wings can be heard coming from the piece of furniture. So what do we make of this? Was it a curse born from injustice? A conjure rooted in anger and loss? Or just a long string of tragic coincidences magnified by fear and belief? Historically, the story reflects a real intersection of Southern folklore, African American spiritual practices, and family superstition. The violence against Ramus was real, an echo of the cruelty of slavery that may well have inspired the enduring legend. Whether you see the Conjured Chest as a supernatural relic or a symbol of inherited guilt and grief, it remains one of America's most chilling haunted artifacts. As Virginia Carey once said, every family has its ghosts. Ours just happens to have a chest to hold them. Whether or not you accept the conjure as real, the family's attempts to fight it are deeply human. They asked for help, they tried to balance the scales, and they paid, as the tale goes, with an actual human life. It asks some big questions. Who decides the cost of magic? Who interprets grief as supernatural? And how do we handle stories that mix race, history, and folklore? If you're the kind of person that believes objects hold intentions, then maybe the curse is real. If you're skeptical, maybe it's a string of coincidences stitched together over decades of grief. Either way, the chest teaches us how families cope, how legends grow, and how an ordinary piece of furniture can become a vessel for the things we just simply can't explain. If you enjoy deep dives into paranormal cases, subscribe here for more true stories of hauntings, the supernatural, and unexplained phenomena. And in the meantime, remember, stay spooky.